Do you have a boyfriend? Emily Carter froze with a stack of files in her hands. She had been working at Rossi Group for only 12 days, still learning where each department was located, still trying not to embarrass herself every time she had to knock on her boss's door. And then Nico Romano, the capo everyone in the office treated like a celebrity, leaned on her desk and dropped that question as casually as if he were asking for the time. Emily let out a nervous laugh. Not yet. The moment the words left her mouth, everything changed. Because Alex Rossi, the man who owned the building, the company, the empire behind it, walked out of his office right in time to hear her answer. He stopped in the middle of the hallway. His shoulders tensed, his jaw tightened, his eyes, sharp, dark, and focused, locked on Emily as if someone had just pulled a trigger inside his chest. It lasted 1 second, maybe 2. But Emily felt every part of her body react as if she had stepped into dangerous territory. Nico grinned. "Relax, boss. We're just talking." Alex didn't even blink at Nico. His attention stayed on Emily, and that stare alone made her forget how to breathe. She had no idea why he looked angry, or confused, or both. She told herself she didn't need his approval for having a personal life, though the truth was she had barely lived one since taking this job. "Miss Carter," Alex said, his voice low and firm. "My office. Now." Nico raised his eyebrows in delight. "Oh, someone's jealous." Emily almost dropped the files. "No, stop. He's not." She waved her hands, cheeks burning. "It was just a question." Alex didn't wait. He turned around and walked back inside, expecting her to follow. Nico whispered, too loudly on purpose, "Don't worry. Jealous bosses are usually the most fun." "Please stop talking," Emily hissed, mortified, and hurried after Alex. She closed the office door behind her. Alex stood near his desk, arms crossed, looking like a storm had settled behind his eyes. He didn't speak at first. He just watched her. Emily shifted her weight, unsure what to do with her hands. "You seem distracted," Alex finally said. "I'm not," she replied quickly. "Nico was just being Nico." "That's exactly the problem," Alex snapped before he could stop himself. His tone surprised even him. Emily saw the moment he realized it. The way he closed his eyes briefly, trying to get control back. She took a careful step closer. "Did I do something wrong?" Alex massaged his forehead. "No." Another pause. "But you should avoid conversations like that during work hours." She blinked. "Conversations like what?" Alex opened his mouth, then shut it again, clearly fighting with the words. He looked almost uncomfortable, which for a man like him, confident, powerful, always in control, was shocking to witness. Emily bit her lip to stop herself from smiling. "Are you seriously upset because someone asked me if I have a boyfriend?" "No," he said too fast. "So you're not upset?" "I didn't say that either." Emily had to turn away and pretend to straighten the files on the table to hide the tiny laugh that escaped her. She didn't want to push him, but the way he was behaving. She wasn't used to anyone reacting like that over her. Alex walked around his desk and sat down, but even seated, he carried a presence that filled the room. He drummed his fingers once on the surface. "We have a meeting in 30 minutes, he said, voice back to its usual deep control. "Take notes. Stay close during the presentation. They tend to ask unexpected questions." Emily nodded and stepped closer to receive the folder he handed her. Their fingers brushed, a small, accidental touch, but it was enough for both of them to go still. Alex's gaze dropped to her hand for a short moment before he cleared his throat and pulled back. "I'll be ready," she said softly. He nodded once, but his jaw clenched again. His reactions made no sense to her, and yet, something about them made her heart beat faster. The meeting was intense. Alex spoke with confidence that silenced every room he walked into. Emily followed his cues, handed him papers before he even asked, and answered questions with precision. When they stepped back into the hallway, he looked at her with something like approval. "You handled it well," he said. "Thank you. I didn't want to disappoint you." "You didn't." His voice softened for the first time that day. You're better than most people who've had this job for years." Her stomach warmed. She hoped he couldn't see the smile she tried to hide. They walked together toward her workstation, and as soon as they turned the corner, Nico appeared again, leaning on her desk with a grin that could have been filed as workplace harassment if he weren't so devastatingly charming. "Back already?" Nico asked. "Emily, I still didn't get an answer." She blinked. "I did answer." No, I didn't ask why you don't have a boyfriend yet." Emily opened her mouth, but Alex stepped forward so fast she didn't have time to process it. "Nico," Alex said sharply, "find something productive to do." Nico lifted his hands. "Hey, I'm just talking." "Talk somewhere else." For the first time since she met him, Nico shut up. He gave Emily a quick wink, the "you're in trouble, but it's adorable" kind, and walked away. Emily stood still, unsure what to say. Alex looked at her, then away, then back again. "You can take your lunch break early." Are you sure?" "Yes," he said, clearing his throat. "Go, eat, rest." Emily hesitated but nodded. She grabbed her bag and headed toward the elevator. When the doors closed, Alex stood alone in the hallway, staring at the metal panel as if it had personally offended him. Nico's voice echoed from down the corridor. "Boss, if you like the girl, maybe don't glare at every man who breathes near her." "Get out!" Alex shouted without turning. Nico's laugh carried all the way to the stairwell. Alex ran a hand through his hair and muttered something under his breath he would deny saying for the rest of his life. Emily returned from lunch determined to behave normally. She didn't want office gossip, she didn't want to lose her job, and she absolutely didn't want Alex Rossi to think she was encouraging anything. But when she stepped into the office, she saw something she had not seen before. Alex was in his office, sitting at his desk, staring at a small picture frame he kept in his drawer. When he noticed her watching, he quickly closed it and stood. "Everything okay?" she asked gently. "Yes." His answer came too fast, too sharp. Then he softened. "Just old memories." Emily nodded, unsure if she should ask more. She didn't. He handed her a new stack of documents. "I'll need you to stay late today. There's a lot to prepare." "No problem." Their hands brushed again. This time, neither of them moved away immediately. "Emily," Alex said suddenly. "Yes?" He looked at her with an expression she couldn't read, something intense, almost vulnerable, hidden behind the usual steel. Before he could continue, Nico burst into the room. "Boss, we have an issue downstairs." "Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt your moment." Alex glared. "Nico, out." Right, I'll just..." Nico backed out dramatically. "Pretend I saw nothing." He closed the door. Emily laughed under her breath, trying to break the tension, but Alex didn't smile. His face had changed again. "We'll talk later," he said. Her heart jumped. About what? Why did his voice sound like that? Why did she suddenly feel like her life was shifting into something she wasn't ready for? She turned toward her desk, but Alex's voice stopped her. "Emily." She looked back. His eyes held hers for a few long seconds, full of something she couldn't name. "Stay close today," he said quietly. A shiver ran down her spine. She didn't know why he said it, but she knew she would. That evening, when everyone else left, Emily stayed at her workstation, reviewing documents with the city lights glowing through the windows. She heard Alex speaking on the phone inside his office, his tone lower, heavier, not like the meetings she had seen earlier. "I said I don't want her involved," Alex said. "No. She has nothing to do with this." Emily froze. "Nothing to do with what?" Nico's voice echoed faintly through the speaker. She couldn't catch all of it, but she heard her name. Then silence. A moment later, Alex opened his office door. He looked at her with a seriousness she had never seen before. "Emily," he said softly. "Come in." Her heart pounded. Something was happening. Something he hadn't told her. Something that had her name in a conversation she wasn't supposed to hear. She stepped into his office and he closed the door behind her. "Sit down," Alex said. His tone was calm, but his eyes held a tension that made the air feel heavier. She sat. He sat across from her, and for a moment neither of them spoke. Alex leaned forward, resting his forearms on his desk. "There's something you should know," he said. Emily swallowed. "About what?" Alex hesitated. Then, darkness filled his eyes with a truth she wasn't ready for. "About why you need to stay close to me." Emily's heart thudded so loudly, she was sure Alex could hear it. The way he watched her, serious, protective, almost conflicted, made the entire room feel smaller. She kept her hands on her lap to hide the nervous tremor. "Alex, what's happening?" He leaned back slowly, as if choosing every word before releasing it. "There are people watching this building, watching my department, watching the people around me." Emily blinked, confusion mixing with disbelief. "People? Why?" Alex didn't move. "Because of business disputes. Nothing you caused, nothing you're involved in. But when someone works near me, they might attract attention." She tried to absorb the information. "So, why tell me now?" His jaw tightened. "Because you heard your name on the call." She swallowed. "Yes. And because," he continued, lowering his voice, "you need to know how to stay safe." Emily stared at him, stunned. Safe? She had taken this job expecting long hours, not danger. "Are you saying I'm in danger just for working here?" "No," he said firmly. "I'm saying I won't allow anything to reach you." There it was again, that intense pull, that protective force she didn't understand, but felt deep inside. It warmed her in a way that almost scared her. "But why me?" Emily whispered. Alex's eyes softened, just a little. "Because you matter." Her breath caught. She didn't expect that answer. She didn't know how to respond to it either. He noticed her silence and stood abruptly, walking around the desk. Emily turned in her chair as he leaned against the front of the desk, arms crossed, expression calmer now. "They aren't after you," he said. "They're after opportunities. They look for weaknesses. I don't want them looking at you." "Do they know who I am?" she asked. "No, and they won't." He paused, then added quietly, "I made sure of that." She didn't know what that meant, or how deep that protection went, but the seriousness in his tone made her skin prickle. Alex looked at her for a long moment. She looked back, searching for answers in his expression. Instead, she found something else, longing. He didn't hide it well. He exhaled slowly. "Let's not make this heavier than it needs to be. I only need you to stay close. No unnecessary errands alone. No leaving the building with strangers. If you need anything, you come to me." Emily nodded. "Okay. Good." He seemed relieved and tense at the same time. She wasn't sure how to feel. A quiet moment settled between them. Too quiet. Emily stood from her chair, trying to ease the stiffness in her body. "Do you need anything else tonight?" "Yes," Alex said without hesitation. It startled her, but he continued differently. "I need you to stop looking at me like you're scared of me." She blinked. "I'm not scared of you. You look like you might run." Emily let out a soft, nervous laugh. "I'm not running. I'm just processing." He nodded. "Fair enough." Then he stepped aside, allowing her to leave the office. But as she passed him, his arm brushed hers lightly. That tiny contact made them both freeze. Emily looked up. He was already looking down at her. The tension snapped through them like electricity. Alex swallowed hard and stepped back, giving her space. "Good night, Emily." "Good night." She walked to her desk, trying not to look back. But right before she picked up her things, she allowed herself a small glance toward his office. Alex was still standing there, watching her through the glass wall, his expression unreadable and too intense to face for more than 1 second. The next morning, Emily arrived earlier than usual. She wanted to feel steady, composed. She wanted to ignore the fact that she had barely slept because she kept replaying Alex's words, "You matter." She placed her bag down, took a deep breath, and turned on her computer. "Morning, Miss Carter." Emily almost jumped. Nico Romano appeared out of nowhere, leaning casually against her desk as if he lived there. "Nico," she sighed. "One day you're going to give me a heart attack." "That's the plan." He grinned. But then he looked at her a little more carefully. You okay? Yes. Why? You're typing like the keyboard owes you money. Emily glanced down. Her fingers were indeed pounding a little too aggressively. I'm fine. Just tired. Nico raised one eyebrow. Did the boss talk to you last night? Emily hesitated. He explained a few things. Nico made a face like he already knew what the conversation was about. Let me guess. He said you need to stay close. He glared at you with that I care but won't say it directly face. You got nervous. He got quiet. You both stared too long. Emily's mouth fell open. How do you know that? Nico tapped his temple. Gifted. No, seriously. It's always the same pattern when he likes someone. Emily choked on air. He doesn't like me. Nico smirked. Right, and I'm a dentist. Before she could argue, the elevator dinged and Alex stepped out. Wearing a perfectly tailored suit, sleeves slightly rolled, hair slightly messy. The exact combination that made Emily's pulse jump. Nico whispered, Careful. Your face is turning pink. Nico, she hissed. Alex approached, eyes scanning the workspace before landing on her. Good morning, Emily, he said quietly. Good morning, Mr. Rossi. His gaze softened just a fraction when she said his name. Nico leaned closer to Emily and stage whispered, Someone slept well. Alex shot him a lethal look. Nico saluted and backed away. Alex cleared his throat and handed Emily a folder. I need these reviewed before noon. Of course. And stay near my office today, he added. I'll need you for several meetings. Sure, she said, trying to sound normal. But Nico, standing behind Alex, mouthed dramatically, He's obsessed. Emily nearly kicked him. Alex turned to her again. Is everything all right? Yes, she replied quickly. Just a lot on my mind. If anyone bothers you, he said, voice lowering. Tell me. Her stomach flipped. I will. He nodded once and walked into his office. Nico slid back to her desk. You two are killing me. Just get married already. Emily buried her face in her hands. Nico, please go away. No can do. This is my entertainment. Late morning arrived with back-to-back meetings. Emily stood beside Alex in the conference room, passing him documents before he asked, reading his cues, anticipating his needs. Their synchronization surprised even him. At one point, during a tense negotiation, Alex leaned close and murmured, Good job catching that number change. His breath brushed her ear. Emily almost forgot how to speak. During a break, she stepped into the hallway to calm herself. She didn't expect Alex to follow. He approached slowly. You did well today. Thank you. You look overwhelmed. No, She stopped when she realized lying wouldn't work. I'm adjusting. He nodded, understanding. If this is too much, it's not, she said quickly. I want to be here. That answer made something in his expression soften. He looked at her the way someone looks at something they shouldn't want, but want anyway. Before either of them could say anything else, Nico's voice echoed through the hall. There you two are. I'm hungry. Who's buying lunch? Emily jumped aside. Alex glared. Nico laughed and pointed at Alex. You glared at me before. Glare at me again, and I'll tell the whole office you blush when Emily says your name. Emily gasped. Nico! Alex's jaw tightened. Go, before I fire you. You love me too much. Nico winked, then disappeared again. Emily pressed her lips together, trying not to laugh. Alex wasn't amused, but the corner of his mouth twitched like he was fighting a smile he refused to let out. Ignore him, Alex said. I try, Emily replied. He took a breath and lowered his voice. Stay close after lunch. There's something I want to discuss. Of course. He hesitated, eyes lingering on her a little too long. Don't disappear on me today. I won't. That afternoon, as Emily prepared notes in her small workspace, she glanced inside Alex's office. He wasn't focused on his computer. He was watching her, not in an uncomfortable way, but in a way that made her chest tighten. He looked away quickly, pretending he hadn't been staring. She smiled without meaning to. The day moved quietly until Nico returned from outside with a coffee in each hand. He placed one on Emily's desk. "You look like you need this." "Oh, thank you." Nico leaned one elbow on her desk. "So, when exactly are you and the boss planning to stop pretending?" Emily almost spilled her drink. "We're not, Nico. He watches you like you're the only person in the entire company." "He does not." "He absolutely does." Before she could argue, Alex stepped out of his office. "Emily," he called. She stood immediately. "Yes?" "I need a word." She followed him inside and closed the door. Alex walked toward the window, hands in his pockets. "There's a lot happening around the building today, more than usual." Emily frowned. "What do you mean?" He turned toward her, expression serious but warm. "I want you to stay near me for the rest of the day. No errands, no deliveries, nothing outside the main floor." "All right." He stepped closer. Not too close, just enough that she felt his presence. "And if you feel uncomfortable with anything, anyone, you tell me right away." Her stomach fluttered. "I will." He nodded slowly, eyes lingering on hers. The air between them grew heavier, calmer, warmer. Emily opened her mouth, maybe to thank him, maybe to say something she shouldn't. But a loud knock interrupted the moment. Nico stuck his head in. "Boss, someone downstairs wants to talk to you. Says it's important." Alex's expression darkened. "Who?" "No name, just said you'd know." Emily felt a small shiver. Alex looked at her. "Stay in the office. I'll be back." "Okay." He walked past Nico, already slipping into the colder, sharper version of himself he used whenever work demanded it. Nico gave Emily an apologetic shrug. "Don't worry, he'll be back in 5 minutes." Then softer, "He's only this tense because of you." Emily blinked. "Because of me? Because he cares." And then Nico left her alone in Alex's office. Emily stared at the door, pulse quickening. Something was happening. Something Alex hadn't told her yet. Something that made him keep her close and watch her like she was the only thing that mattered. She sat in his chair, unable to calm her heartbeat. Minutes passed. Too many. When the elevator dinged again, she stood quickly. Alex walked back into the office with an expression she had never seen before, a mix of relief and something deeper. He closed the door behind him. "Emily," he said quietly, "we need to talk." Her breath caught, because this time his voice wasn't stern or controlled. It was personal. And whatever he was about to say would change everything. Emily stood still near Alex's desk. She didn't sit, didn't speak, didn't blink. The tension in his posture made her chest tighten, as if she were waiting for a verdict she didn't understand. "Alex," her voice came out small, unsure. "What happened downstairs?" Alex removed his jacket slowly, placing it over the chair. His movements were calm, but his face wasn't. He rubbed the back of his neck, a gesture she had never seen from him, before turning toward her. "Nothing dangerous," he said first, but his eyes said not nothing. Emily stepped closer. "Then why do you look like that?" Alex exhaled, lowering himself onto the edge of his desk. "Someone asked questions they shouldn't, questions about you." Her breath caught. "About me. Why?" "That's what I'm trying to find out." His tone softened. "It could be coincidence. It could be nothing. But I don't like coincidences around you." Emily felt her knees weaken. "What did they want to know?" Alex shook his head. "Where you came from. How long you've worked here. Who hired you. Simple questions." He paused. Questions that shouldn't matter to anyone. Emily swallowed, trying to control the unease creeping up her spine. "Should I be worried?" He stood, closing the short distance between them until he was close enough for her to feel the warmth of his presence. "You don't worry," Alex said quietly. "I worry for you." Her heart reacted before her mind. Something deep inside her loosened at his words. She didn't know how a man like him, feared, respected, always composed, could say something so protective without even realizing how intimate it sounded. He noticed the way she looked at him. His expression softened even more. "Emily." But a knock interrupted the moment. The door opened a crack. "Boss?" Nico's voice. "Everything good?" Alex didn't break eye contact with Emily. "We're done for now." "Great," Nico said, sticking only his hand in to give a thumbs up. "Because I'm starving and she promised to let me borrow her stapler." "I did not," Emily began, but Nico was already gone. Alex pinched the bridge of his nose. "Why do you encourage him?" "I don't," she whispered. "He appears like a cartoon character." Despite the tension, Alex's lips twitched in amusement. Just for a second. Then the moment passed. He stepped back, not far, but far enough that Emily felt the shift. "We'll talk more tomorrow," he said. "Get some rest." Emily left the building with her mind spinning. It wasn't fear. It was the way his words lingered in her chest. "You matter. I worry for you." Nobody had ever said that to her before, not like that, with that weight. When she reached the sidewalk, she noticed something strange. A dark SUV parked across the street, engine running. She wondered if she was imagining it, until she saw the silhouette behind the wheel turn toward her. Before she could panic, a familiar voice called her. "Emily." Nico jogged down the steps, waving a hand over his head. "Relax, that's one of ours. Boss wanted someone watching the building tonight." Emily froze. Watching for what? Nico shrugged casually, as if discussing weather. "Doesn't matter. You're safe. Want a ride?" She shook her head. "I'll take the train." "Suit yourself," Nico grinned. "Text me when you get home. Boss will ask anyway." Emily didn't even have the strength to argue. At home, she threw herself on the couch, staring at the ceiling for a long time. Her life 2 weeks ago was simple. Wake up, work, go home, repeat. Now she had a Mafia boss checking if she was safe. Now she had Nico Romano teasing her like a brother she never asked for. Now she had men outside her building watching the street. And worse, she had feelings she wasn't ready to admit. Feelings about Alex. Real ones. Emily groaned and covered her face with a pillow. "How is this my life?" Her phone buzzed. "Nico, did you get home? If not, I'm stealing your stapler." Emily rolled her eyes. She typed back, "I'm home." Another message came instantly. "Nico. Good. Now boss can stop staring at the window like a drama king." Emily felt her heartbeat stumble. He was looking out the window. She didn't answer. She couldn't. The next morning she arrived early again, determined to stay professional, calm, unshakable. That lasted 10 seconds. "Good morning," Alex said behind her. She dropped her pen. It rolled across the floor. She bent down to pick it up and smacked her forehead against the edge of her desk. "Great. You okay?" Alex asked, stepping closer. "Yes," she squeaked, rubbing her forehead. His hand lifted halfway, like he wanted to touch her. Then he stopped himself and lowered it. "Professional. Right." "You didn't sleep," he observed. Emily blinked. "How do you know?" "You look tired." She opened her mouth to argue, but he added gently, "It's not a bad thing. It's just true." Emily had no idea how he could sound so caring without even trying. He handed her a folder. "Meeting in an hour. You'll sit beside me." She nodded. "Okay." He started to walk away, but stopped, turned back, lowered his voice. "If anything feels off today, you tell me immediately." She nodded again. Alex watched her a beat longer than necessary before entering his office. Her stomach flipped. This wasn't normal boss behavior. Not even close. An hour later, Emily sat beside Alex in the conference room. He was calm, composed, dominant in the way he commanded the table. Every time she passed him a document, their fingers brushed. Each time, the room felt warmer. At a tense moment during negotiations, Alex leaned toward her, speaking low. "Slide me the last contract draft." His breath grazed her cheek. Emily swallowed hard and passed the paper. He looked at her for a second too long, then returned to the meeting as if nothing had happened. Nico, across the room, mouthed wow at her. Emily kicked him under the table. During lunch break, Emily headed toward the elevators to grab something quick at the cafe. She didn't make it 2 steps before Alex appeared beside her. "Where are you going?" "Just downstairs for lunch." "I'll go with you." Emily blinked. "Why?" His answer was too quick. "I need coffee." Nico popped out of nowhere. He never drinks coffee at noon. Alex didn't even look at him. "I do today." Nico leaned toward Emily. Translation: "He wants to stand near you." "Nico," she whispered harshly. "What?" "I'm helping." Alex sighed, long and exhausted. "Romano." "Yes, boss." "Disappear." "On it." And he vanished. Emily tried not to laugh. "He needs hobbies." Alex's lips twitched. "He has one. Irritating everyone." They took the elevator down together. Emily felt the tension between them rising with every floor. Not hostile tension, something deeper, something warm. When they reached the cafe, Emily ordered a sandwich. Alex ordered water. She raised an eyebrow. "I thought you wanted coffee." "I changed my mind." She gave him a suspicious look. "You followed me, didn't you?" Alex looked away. "No." "Alex." He sighed. "Fine, maybe a little." Her cheeks warmed as she tried not to smile. They sat in a corner table. She ate quietly while he watched the room, protective, attentive, always scanning. "You're doing it again," she said softly. He turned to her. "Doing what?" "Looking around like someone's about to jump out from behind the counter." His jaw flexed, but his tone softened. "I'm keeping an eye on things." Emily leaned her elbows on the table. "Why does it matter so much?" A long silence. Then, "Because you matter." Her breath caught. There it was again. Direct. Raw. Without any shield. "Alex," she whispered. But before she could continue, a man in a suit walked by, glancing at her a little too long. Alex noticed. Immediately. His posture changed. "Let's go," he said, standing. Emily blinked. "Why?" "I don't like how he looked at you." "Alex." "Emily," he said quietly but firmly. "Please." The please did something to her. She stood. They walked back upstairs together. Closer than before. Too close for 2 people pretending not to feel anything. Back at the office, she followed him inside. The moment the door closed, his shoulders dropped slightly, like he could finally breathe again. He turned to face her. "Emily, there's something we need to clear up." Her heart pounded. "Okay." He walked closer, not intimidatingly, carefully, intentionally. "When Nico flirted with you yesterday." He paused, choosing the words. "I didn't handle it well." Emily felt heat rising in her cheeks. "You were jealous." Alex inhaled slowly. "Yes." The honesty shocked her. He didn't play games. He didn't deny it. He said it like a man who refused to lie, even when the truth exposed him. "I shouldn't have been," he added. "You're free to talk to anyone. But when I heard you say, 'not yet,'" Emily's breath hitched. "What did that mean to you?" "That you weren't with anyone." His eyes darkened. "And I reacted." Her heartbeat thudded so hard she felt it in her fingers. Alex took one more step toward her. "I'm trying to keep distance. I'm trying to do the right thing, but it keeps getting harder." Emily barely managed to whisper, "For me too." He froze, the confession hitting him like a physical force. Alex reached up slowly, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. The touch was gentle, hesitant, not the gesture of a mafia boss, but of a man fighting everything he felt. Their faces were inches apart. Her breath mingled with his. He looked at her lips once, then back to her eyes. "Emily," he whispered. She didn't step away. Neither did he. The air thickened. Warmth rose between them. One more inch and a knock shattered everything. Alex closed his eyes in pure frustration. Nico's voice came through the door. "Boss, there's something you need to see downstairs." Alex didn't turn. This better be important. "Oh, it is," Nico said. "And it's about her." Emily's heart stopped. Alex immediately changed. Protective, cold, focused. "Stay here," he told her. "Don't move." He left with Nico. The door shut. Emily stood alone in his office, pulse racing, replaying every second of the moment they almost kissed. Minutes later, the elevator dinged. Alex returned, but his face wasn't tense this time. It was something else, something deeper, something she couldn't read. He closed the office door behind him. "Emily," he said softly, "we need to talk about your past." Her chest tightened. "My past?" He stepped closer. "Yes, because someone downstairs knew your last name." Emily froze. "How?" she whispered. Alex's voice lowered, protective and heavy with meaning. "Because your family and mine crossed paths once before." Emily stood frozen, her fingers tightening around the edge of Alex's desk. She felt the air in the room change, heavier, weightier, as if something meaningful was about to surface. "Alex," she whispered, "what do you mean my past crossed with yours?" Alex didn't answer immediately. He slipped off his suit jacket, laying it over the chair with slow, controlled movements. The man was never careless, not even in the smallest details. Then he stepped closer, stopping just a breath away from her. "Before I say anything," he began, voice low, "I want you to remember this. You did nothing wrong. None of this is your fault." Emily's heart hammered. "You're scaring me." "I'm trying not to." His tone softened. "But I also won't lie to you." He took a small step back, giving her space, and walked to the window. The New York skyline stretched behind him, tall, cold buildings bathed in late afternoon gold. Emily followed him slowly. "Someone downstairs recognized your last name," Alex said. "Not because of you, because of something that happened years ago. Something involving your father." Emily's chest tightened. "My father?" Alex turned to face her. "Yes." She shook her head. "No. He left when I was little. I barely knew him." "Whatever he did, it has nothing to do with me." "I know," Alex said gently. "And that's exactly why I'm telling you. Because someone else might try to use that connection to get closer to me." Emily felt the room sway a little, the weight of old wounds pulling her off balance. "What connection?" Alex hesitated, a rare sight. He was a man who handled everything with certainty. But now, he looked almost unsure. "Your father once worked near a family that opposed mine," he said carefully. "Not directly for them, but close enough to fall into the wrong circles. When things went bad, he disappeared to protect you and your mother." Emily lowered herself into the nearest chair, stunned. "He protected us?" "Yes." Alex sat across from her, elbows on his knees, leaning forward. "And whatever he did or didn't do, that ended years ago. It's over. But some people remember names, and yours just appeared at the wrong moment." She looked up at him, eyes slightly glossy. "So this is why you've been worried about me?" His eyes locked onto hers, warm, deep, honest. "One of the reasons," he admitted. "And not the most important one." Her breath hitched. He wasn't hiding the truth anymore. He wasn't pretending his feelings were something else. Emily took a quiet breath. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" Alex looked away briefly. "Because I didn't want you scared. And because your father made sacrifices to keep you far from this world." "I didn't want to pull you into it." Her heart softened. The pieces made sense now. His protectiveness, his tension, the constant glances, the way he always placed himself between her and any unknown presence. He was trying to protect her. From danger, from worry, from the past. Emily stood slowly and walked toward him. Alex rose at the same time, and suddenly they were inches apart. "You didn't pull me into anything," she said softly. "You've only helped me." He looked down at her, eyes filling with something deeper. "Emily." She swallowed. "Alex, I don't want you carrying everything alone." His breath caught. For a moment he looked like he might reach for her, but he held back, fingers curling at his sides. She stepped closer. "Talk to me. Don't shut me out." Alex let out a tense breath, and something inside him seemed to snap, not in anger, but in surrender. "I don't shut you out because I want to," he said quietly. "I shut you out because if I let myself get closer—" He paused. Emily's heart was pounding. He stepped closer still. "I won't be able to stop." The confession washed over her like heat. She whispered, "Then don't stop." Alex froze. His jaw tightened, his eyes darkened, and suddenly all the tension, all the unspoken desire between them, filled the room like rising temperature. He lifted his hand slowly, giving her time to pull away, and brushed his fingers along her cheek. Emily leaned into the touch without hesitation. He exhaled sharply. "Emily?" She placed her hand on his chest, feeling his heartbeat beneath her palm. Faster than usual, unsteady, human. He covered her hand with his. The closeness was electric. "I've been trying to do the right thing," he whispered. "Trying to keep distance, to be your boss, to make smart decisions." "You're still doing the right thing," she murmured. He shook his head. "No, because I want you more than I want control." Emily didn't wait this time. She rose onto her toes and closed the tiny gap between them. Alex reacted instantly, a quiet inhale, a faint shudder, before leaning down and kissing her. It wasn't aggressive or rushed. It wasn't planned. It was slow, warm, deeply emotional. A kiss that felt like two people stepping into something they had both been avoiding, but craving in silence. Emily's fingers curled lightly into his shirt. Alex cupped her jaw gently, as if she were something precious. When they finally broke apart, Alex rested his forehead against hers. "I shouldn't have done that," he whispered. "But you did," she whispered back. "And I'm glad." He closed his eyes briefly. "Emily, I don't want to hurt you. I don't want this world to touch you." She shook her head. "You're not hurting me. You're protecting me." He searched her face, maybe for fear, maybe for regret, but found none. Then the softest smile touched his lips, until someone cleared their throat loudly. They jumped apart. Nico stood in the doorway, mouth open, holding a half-eaten granola bar. "I knew it," he said dramatically. "I absolutely knew it. You two owe me $20. Emily covered her face with both hands. "Oh my God!" Alex glared. "Get out!" "Relax, boss," Nico said, pointing the granola at Emily. "She kissed you. I saw everything. High five, sweetheart." Emily nearly melted into the floor. "Nico." Okay, I'm leaving. But just know this is the greatest day of my career." He backed out while bowing. The door clicked shut. Alex ran a hand down his face. "I'm going to fire him." "No, you won't," Emily said shyly. Alex stepped closer again, tension returning, but this time softer, sweeter. "I want to be clear about something," he said. She looked up. "What?" "That kiss wasn't an accident, and it isn't something I plan to forget." Emily's breath caught. "Me neither." He reached for her hand, a simple gesture, but the moment their fingers intertwined, the room felt warmer again. "We'll take this one step at a time," Alex murmured. She nodded. "I want that." A soft knock interrupted them. This time, Alex didn't step away. He kept her hand in his, almost daring the world to interrupt again. Ethan, Alex's cousin, poked his head in. "Sorry, I need to talk to you both." Alex frowned. "Both?" "Yes," Ethan said seriously. "Because we found something about her father, and you'll want to hear this." Emily felt her stomach drop. Alex squeezed her hand gently. "I'm right here," he whispered. She nodded, bracing herself. "Tell us," Alex said. Ethan stepped inside fully, and the truth began to unfold. Ethan closed the door behind him carefully, like someone carrying a heavy truth he didn't want to drop too abruptly. Emily stood beside Alex, their fingers intertwined. A simple gesture, but full of meaning. Alex didn't let go. He had no intention of letting go. Ethan noticed, and for the first time that day, his serious expression softened slightly. "Emily," he began gently, "you need to know that none of this is your fault, and everything I'm about to say is already in the past. Emily inhaled slowly. I want to hear it. Alex kept his eyes on her. We only go as far as you want. If you want us to stop, we stop. The way he said we made her chest warm. I can handle it, she whispered. Ethan sat down and opened a folder with a few sheets inside. Your father wasn't a bad man, he explained. He worked as a driver, did deliveries, small services. Nothing illegal by choice. A knot formed in Emily's throat. Hearing about a man she barely remembered felt strange. Vague memories of laughter, large hands holding hers. And then, nothing. He ended up doing work for a group that couldn't be trusted, Ethan continued. He didn't know at first. And when he found out, he tried to get out. Get out, Emily murmured. He tried to stop. Yes, Ethan said. And that's when he looked for someone who could help him. Emily frowned. Who? Ethan looked at Alex. Emily turned slowly, and she saw the truth there. Alex watched her with the most sincere eyes she had ever seen on him. No walls, no steel, no distance. Your father came to me, Alex said, his voice low and steady. He asked for a chance to start over. He asked for protection for you and your mother. Emily's hand rose to her lips, stunned. You met him? Alex nodded. Yes. And what did you do? I helped, he said simply. As much as I could. He just wanted to keep you out of this world, and I promised I'd do what I could. Emily's eyes burned. Why? I was just a child. You didn't even know me. Alex exhaled. Because your father was desperate, and because I believed him. Ethan continued. After that, he disappeared to protect you. He never touched this world again. Emily closed her eyes, absorbing everything, like discovering puzzle pieces she didn't even know existed. Alex took a careful step closer. I never told you because your life isn't my responsibility. You deserved a clean path, free from old shadows. Emily looked at him, and everything made sense. His protectiveness, his tension, his constant watchfulness, his reactions whenever someone got too close. He wasn't trying to control her. He was trying to protect her, from the past, from danger, from pain. So when I showed up for the interview, she began slowly. Alex gave a faint, almost sad smile. I recognized your last name, but you got the job because you earned it. I only made sure you were safe. Emily let out a shaky laugh. Safe? Working with you? Alex lifted one eyebrow. I never said I was perfect. She laughed softly, and he relaxed a little. Emily, Alex said, holding her hands. If all this is too much, I understand. I can ask Ethan to move you to another department, or another building, or I can... Alex. She squeezed his hands. I don't want distance. He froze, like he had been waiting a long time to hear that. Emily breathed deeply. I want to understand. I want to be here. I want you. Alex's eyes darkened with emotion. He pulled her closer slowly, as if asking silently whether she was sure. She was. His arms wrapped around her, holding her by the waist with a tenderness that contrasted completely with the hard-edged man everyone feared. Emily rested her forehead on his chest. His scent, his warmth, the way he held her. It was security. It was truth. It was everything she didn't know she needed. Alex ran his fingers along her hair. If you stay, I promise the past will never touch you. I'll handle the rest. Emily looked up at him. I don't want you handling everything alone. His thumb brushed her cheek. I don't know how to do it any other way. She smiled softly. Then learn with me. He smiled back, a small, rare, real smile, and he kissed her again. This time the kiss was slower, warm, safe, deep. Not the kiss of someone fighting his feelings, but of someone accepting them completely. When he pulled back, he kept his forehead pressed to hers, eyes closed. Are you okay? He whispered. I am, she said. Better than I've been in a long time. Before they could continue, someone knocked on the door. They didn't separate. Nico burst in like a hurricane. All right, good news or bad news first. Alex didn't release Emily. What do you want? I want to say the guy from yesterday, the one asking about her, showed up again. Emily's breath stopped. Alex instantly pulled her behind him, protective, instinctive. He didn't try anything, Nico added. But he said something weird. What? Alex demanded. Nico lifted his chin dramatically. He said, tell Rossi he shouldn't get attached to someone with that last name. Emily felt the world spin. Alex pulled her even closer. What else? Nothing, Nico replied. Just walked away, and I followed him. Don't worry. Alex's jaw tightened. I'll deal with it. Emily grabbed his arm. Alex? He turned to her. Nothing will happen to you. Nothing. She swallowed. I know, but what does that even mean? Alex breathed deep. You won't touch any of this. Not while I'm alive. Nico raised his hands. Just saying. Nobody threatened anyone. Just talking big. And I'll keep an eye. Emily looked at Alex. So what do we do now? He cupped her face gently. Now, you trust me. She nodded slowly. For a moment, everything felt steady. Until Nico added, oh, and one more thing. There's an event tonight, and you, Emily, are on the list with the boss. Emily blinked. Me? On the list? Nico grinned. Of course, he doesn't go anywhere without you now. Alex closed his eyes, inhaling deeply. Nico. I'm gone. Nico bolted out before Alex could yell. Emily turned to Alex, stunned. An event? With you? Alex looked torn between nervous and happy. Only if you want to go. She smiled. I want to. Alex threaded his fingers through hers. A simple confirmation that they were stepping into something bigger together. Then let's go. Emily spent the entire afternoon trying to focus on the spreadsheets Alex had left on her desk, but none of the lines made sense. The evening event kept pulling her thoughts away, not because of work, but because she would be going with Alex, together, officially, or almost officially. Every time she thought about it, her heart sped up. At the end of the day, she went home to get ready. The event was formal, and even though Alex hadn't instructed her to dress up, she wanted to. She wanted him to look at her and feel proud, or something more dangerous than pride. When she arrived at the hotel where the event was being held, a glamorous venue in the heart of Manhattan, Nico was leaning on the railing, waving dramatically like he had been waiting just for her. Look at you, he shouted. Stunning. Boss is going to faint. Nico! Emily laughed, blushing. Stop. Me? Never. He winked. Just so you know, everyone is already whispering that Rossi is showing up with a woman tonight. And guess who the woman is? Emily swallowed. Me? No, Nico deadpanned. It's the other assistant. Emily's eyes widened, and Nico burst out laughing. Kidding! Yes, it's you! She slapped his arm. You're impossible! I know. He bowed. Now go. He's already waiting. Her heart pounded as she stepped inside. The ballroom shimmered with warm lights, filled with men in suits and women in elegant dresses. And there, near the main table, stood Alex, perfectly tailored black suit, strong posture, hands in his pockets. But what caught her attention was how completely his expression changed the moment he saw her. He didn't hide it. He wanted her, and he wasn't pretending otherwise. Emily approached him slowly, feeling every pair of eyes in the room fade away. You came, Alex said, his voice lower than usual. You invited me. I did, he admitted, looking her over with a slow, appreciative gaze that sent heat through her body. And I don't regret it. She smiled softly. Alex offered his arm. Stay with me tonight, he said, the whole time. She slipped her arm through his. I will. The event moved forward with polished conversations, clinking glasses, and subtle comments about how unusual it was to see Alex Rossi accompanied by someone. Emily pretended not to notice, but Alex noticed everything, and he kept a protective hand on her lower back whenever someone approached too closely. At one point, while speaking to an investor, Alex subtly slipped his fingers along the inside of her wrist. a small gesture that made Emily forget every word she planned to say. He knew exactly what he was doing. When they finally stepped aside to breathe, away from the crowd, Emily gathered her courage. "You seem tense tonight," she said. Alex took a sip of water. "I'm staying alert." "Why?" "Because there are people here who shouldn't be," he said calmly. "And a few of them remember your last name." Emily's stomach tightened. "Do you think anyone wants to hurt me?" Alex immediately turned toward her, firm and steady. "No one will touch you, not while I exist." The way he said it, with unwavering certainty and fierce emotion, made warmth spread through her chest. "Alex." He touched her hand lightly. "If anything happens, you stay behind me. But I don't think it will. I'm only being careful." She nodded. "I trust you." Alex paused, a moment of vulnerability flickering in his expression. "Thank you," he said softly. Later, while walking down a side corridor to escape the noise of the ballroom, a tall man in a gray suit stepped in front of them. He smiled with the kind of politeness that felt almost threatening. "Rossi," he said. "Good evening." Alex tensed, not with fear, but irritation. "Didn't expect to see you here," Alex replied coldly. The man's gaze slid to Emily with unsettling interest. "And this is—" Alex stepped forward, blocking the man's view of her. "No one you need to know." The man laughed lightly. "Just asking a name, nothing more." "For you, maybe," Alex said calmly. "For me, it's different." The man stared at them for a moment, then said something that made Emily's skin crawl. "Interesting seeing you so attached, especially to someone with that last name." Emily froze. Alex's jaw tightened. He smiled, a sharp warning smile, and said, "Walk away." The man did. Emily inhaled shakily. What did he mean by that? Alex turned to her, tension still in his shoulders. "He talks too much. But he said my last name like Emily." He cupped her face with both hands. "Look at me." She raised her eyes, breathing unevenly. "Nothing from that world defines you," he said firmly. "Nothing. He wants to provoke me, not hurt you. But he knows who I am." "And I'm here," Alex replied, stepping closer. "Understand? I'm here." Emily felt tears build, not from fear, but from the overwhelming care in his voice. Alex brushed his thumb beneath her eye. "Hey, no crying." "I'm not crying," she insisted, voice trembling. "Then come here." He wrapped his arms around her, pulling her against him. Emily leaned into his chest, letting his warmth calm the pieces of her heart that were shaking. With his steady breathing against her cheek and his hand resting gently on her back, she felt safe in a way she hadn't felt in years. "I don't want to be a burden to you," she whispered. Alex pulled back slightly, meeting her eyes. "You could never be a burden. I chose to be by your side." Emily's breath caught. "Even with my last name?" "I'm not in love with your last name," he said, direct, honest, raw. "I'm in love with you." Her world stilled. "You are?" she whispered. "Yes," he said without hesitation. "And I'm not apologizing for it." Emily cupped his cheek gently. Alex leaned into her touch, closing his eyes for a moment. A silent admission of how much he needed her too. When he opened them, there was so much love there it nearly overwhelmed her. "I'm in love with you too," she confessed. His breath hitched. Slowly, deliberately, he leaned in. She closed the gap. And they kissed, deeply, intensely, with weeks of tension finally released. His hand steadied her waist, pulling her closer, while Emily's fingers curled into his jacket. It wasn't a careful kiss. It wasn't restrained. It was real. When they broke apart, Alex's gaze softened in a way she had never seen. "Emily, after tonight, nothing will be the same." "I know," she whispered. He was about to kiss her again when Nico appeared at the end of the hallway, breathless. "Boss, we need you. Now." Alex turned, annoyed. "Nico, for God's sake. It's important," Nico insisted. "And it's about her father." Emily felt the floor tilt beneath her. Alex immediately took her hand. "I'm right here." Nico inhaled and said, "We found the full truth, and it changes everything." Emily's pulse quickened. "Everything? How?" Nico looked genuinely serious, a rare sight. "Your life didn't cross with his by accident, Emily. It was never coincidence." Alex froze. Emily felt her blood run cold. "Nico, what are you talking about?" Nico swallowed hard. "Your father didn't just ask Alex for help." A pause. "He did something else. Something Alex never told you." Alex closed his eyes briefly, like someone who knew this moment was coming. Emily's voice trembled. "Alex, what did my father do?" Alex opened his eyes, slow and steady. "I'm going to tell you. Everything." But before he could continue, a murmur erupted in the ballroom. People whispering, phones buzzing, someone calling Alex's name with urgency. Nico's eyes widened. "It's happening." "His identity just went public." Emily's heart dropped. Alex touched her cheek again, protective and fierce. "Nothing will happen to you, but we need to leave. Now." "Why?" she whispered. Alex took a deep breath. "Because your father's name was just revealed publicly, and now everyone knows who you are." The moment Nico said the words, "Everyone knows who you are," Emily felt the floor tilt beneath her feet. The ballroom outside buzzed with murmurs, the kind that spread fast in circles of power, whispers, glances, speculation. Her last name was out there now, exposed, a name she barely understood, tied to a past she had never chosen. Alex didn't waste a second. He wrapped an arm around her shoulders and guided her toward a quieter corridor. "Stay close to me," he said softly, firmly. Emily's voice was barely audible. "Alex, what does this mean?" "That we're done hiding." He said it without hesitation. Nico jogged ahead, clearing the path, pushing open a service door that led to a smaller private lounge. Ethan was already inside, pacing, holding his phone like it burned. "They know," Ethan said. "It's everywhere. Someone leaked old records. Your father's disappearance, your last name, everything." Emily's stomach twisted. "But why now? Why tonight?" Ethan shook his head. Someone wanted to shake Alex, and they knew exactly how. Alex turned to her, cupping her face gently, lowering his voice until it was just for her. "None of this changes who you are. Not to me. But the world out there doesn't get a say." His thumb brushed her cheek. "You do. And I do." Emily blinked back, the fear rising in her chest. "I don't want to ruin your reputation." Alex actually laughed, a short, soft sound full of disbelief. "Emily, I run Rossi Group. Half the city thinks I have no weaknesses. The other half thinks I'm the problem to all their problems. My reputation survived a lot worse than loving someone." She froze. "Loving?" Alex didn't correct himself. He didn't soften it either. He held her face, steady and warm. "I meant what I said," he told her. "I love you." And no headline, no whisper, no man in a gray suit is going to change what I feel when I look at you. Emily swallowed hard, emotions rising so fiercely she couldn't speak. She covered his hand with hers. Ethan turned away discreetly. Nico wiped an imaginary tear. "Look at them," Nico muttered. "I'm emotional. I'm buying matching mugs." "Romano," Alex warned without looking away from Emily. "Sorry, I'll behave." Alex stepped closer to her again. "Emily, listen to me. Your father came to me because he wanted you safe. He didn't want this world touching you. He trusted me to help him disappear so you could grow up far away from all of this. And when I saw your last name on that resume, I remembered the promise I made." Her heartbeat pounded in her ears. "What promise?" Alex took her hand gently, holding it between both of his. "That if life ever brought you near me again, I would protect you, no matter what it cost." Emily felt everything inside her melt. He had been holding this alone for years. He had carried her name, her past, her father's plea. not out of guilt, but out of loyalty. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" she whispered. "Because I didn't want you to feel tied to a decision your father made. I wanted you to come to me freely." His voice softened even more. "And you did." Emily's eyes warmed with tears, but not of fear this time, of clarity. She stepped closer, resting her forehead lightly against his. "Thank you for everything." Alex exhaled slowly, the tension releasing from his shoulders as he wrapped both arms around her waist and pulled her gently against him. "You don't have to thank me," he said. "Just stay." Emily didn't hesitate. "I'm not going anywhere." There was no chaos outside that could shake this moment. No whisper could break the truth in their eyes. Alex kissed her, slow, deep, protective, loving, sealing everything that had been building between them since the moment she first walked into his office. When they finally parted, Nico cleared his throat loudly. "Okay, so, not to interrupt the romance movie happening here, but the press is waiting outside. Boss, what's the move?" Alex slid his hand down Emily's arm, linking their fingers with a certainty that made her heart tremble. "We walk out together," he said simply. Emily blinked. "Together?" "Yes." His gaze locked on hers, unwavering. "I'm not hiding you. Not from anyone." Ethan nodded approvingly. Even Nico looked impressed. "Well, damn," he whispered. "He's really doing it." Alex guided Emily toward the door, but just before stepping out, he whispered into her ear, "If at any moment you want to leave, just squeeze my hand. I'll take you out of here myself." Emily squeezed, not to leave, but as a silent message, "I'm with you." He smiled. A real, full smile she had never seen before. The doors opened, and they walked out. People turned. Conversation stopped. A dozen eyes widened as Alex Rossi, the man known for never being attached to anyone, entered the ballroom holding the hand of the woman whose name had just exploded across every screen. Emily felt her pulse spike, but Alex's grip was steady, warm, grounding. Someone from across the room whispered, "Is that her?" Another murmured, "Rossi's bringing her forward himself." But the only voice that mattered was Alex's, leaning slightly toward her as they crossed the floor. "I told you," he murmured. "No one touches you." Emily held her head high. For the first time, the whispers didn't make her feel small, because Alex was right beside her, and she wasn't alone. Later that night, after the event had finally dispersed and the building quieted down, Alex drove her to his penthouse, not with urgency, but with the soft, calm certainty of someone who already knew the rest of the night would change everything. He led her inside, flicking on the warm lights. The city glowed through the enormous windows, but Alex only looked at her. "Are you okay?" he asked. Emily nodded. "Yes." "Are you sure?" She smiled, stepping closer, placing her hands gently against his chest. "I'm better than okay." Alex let out a slow breath, as if releasing days of tension he'd been hiding. He lowered his forehead to hers. "Emily, I want a life with you. A real one, not hidden, not guarded, not halfway." Her chest tightened in the best possible way. "I want that too," she whispered. He kissed her again, soft at first, then deeper, with all the emotion he could finally let out. His hand slid to her waist, hers curled into his shirt, and the warmth building between them felt like something inevitable, something earned, something right. He pulled back just enough to look at her. "Move in with me." Emily blinked. "Really?" "Yes," he said. "Stay with me. Not as my assistant, not as someone I need to protect, but as the woman I love." His voice grew gentler. "We'll announce your new position tomorrow. Something you deserve. Something that lets you grow." Her heart swelled. "Alex." She didn't make him wait. "Yes," she said. "I'll stay." His smile, soft, relieved, overflowing with affection, was everything. He wrapped her up in his arms and held her tight. Sometime later they stood together in front of the window, Emily leaning against his chest, his arms around her waist. The city lights shimmered below them like quiet applause. Alex kissed the top of her head. Emily Carter, You changed everything. She tilted her face up. For better? For the best, he murmured. She smiled and rested her cheek against him again. After a moment, he said softly, "Can I ask you something?" "Anything." "What were you thinking the moment Nico asked if you had a boyfriend?" Emily laughed lightly. "That I definitely didn't. But maybe I was interested in someone." Alex raised an eyebrow. "Someone?" She turned in his arms and kissed him softly. The man who snapped when he heard it. Alex shook his head with a quiet smile and pulled her closer, kissing her again. The world outside kept turning, but inside that penthouse, in that warm embrace, Emily knew she had found something unshakable, a love no one could touch. If you enjoy stories like this, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. That's how I'll know you truly liked it. Even if you're watching on your TV, grab a second to join this family of fans who love emotional and heartfelt stories. Your support means everything, and it helps us bring you even more tales like this one.